Today, my friend James and I are going to explore a very haunted home in one of the worst neighborhoods in Florida. The neighborhood itself was a hotspot for voodoo and witchcraft in the 80s and 90s. This home was once occupied by drug dealers, and one day a drive-by shooting took place as a result of a drug deal gone wrong. Ever since, the home has been haunted by a man that's often seen in the corners harassing tenants day and night. The moment James and I arrived, we felt out of place. Neighbors were looking at us through their windows. They knew the stories of the home and were probably wondering if we were thinking of buying the place. Maybe they thought we were blessing it, who knows? Before walking through the front door, we noticed there was a Bible on the front porch, visible, as if it was being used to protect the home. The investor who called us to take a look at their property hired workers recently, and one of the workers ended up quitting a few days ago after seeing a ghostly figure roaming the house.
We also know the house was also a drug house. The last resident that was here told the landlord that they will not pay rent until he brought someone here to bless the home. There's a lot of things here that they left behind, and I don't, they left in a hurry.
There was dumpsters on dumpsters, and believe it or not, we started going through the wall and we found a gun in there. It was kind of crazy.
What kind of gun was it?
Bro, it was like a small little 22, but older,
small
man,
gun?
and
Yeah.
it looked like it was kind of dirty.
It was like stashed in the wall?
Yeah, man, right in there. It has 2 walls, drywall and wooded.
Majority of the activity in this home was in that back corner where that back bedroom is, on the left-hand side right there. They had a drive-by shooting here. That bullets flew through the house and hit over there. That killed a gentleman. That could be supposed to be the gentleman that worker saw. Came through this way into the home.
Are they still there?
No, because the reason why not. Oh, what the hell is that? What the heck? Bro, what was that? Oh, bro, I just got chills. Look at this. Look at it. I got chills. Look, look, look. I got chills.
No.
Dude, what just happened?
I don't know.
I heard something back here.
Are there people that still come in here?
Sometimes, I mean,
So your boy won't even, he don't even want to come past the door.
Now, I couldn't remember whether or not that back door was in fact closed or open, but upon reviewing our footage, you can clearly see that the door was in fact closed. Was it someone trying to get in? Was it the wind? Or was it a ghost?
There's somebody back there?
Yo, bro, are you kidding me? Did that door really just open up by itself? Seriously? Was it? It was closed, right?
I don't know.
I just checked it. It was locked.
It was locked.
This door was locked?
Yeah, it was locked. I came to and I checked it and it was locked. I couldn't open it.
The back of the house. I didn't even see back here.
Hello?
Bro, what the heck was that?
Do you think you have people trying to get in here?
I'm not staying here. Just call me when you're done.
The door.
I'll see you later.
All right, man. I'll call you in a little bit.
You want me to close the door or you want me to leave it open?
Yeah, go ahead and close it. We're gonna kind of barricade ourselves in here and lock the doors.
All right, no problem.
All right. Yeah, you can. All right. Bye.
Bro, were they planning on leaving or staying? Did they just
I don't-
get freaked out and were
I
just
thought they
staying?
were gonna
'Cause
stay.
That's what I thought. I thought they were gonna stay, and then all of a sudden that happened. They were like, "We're leaving. We're getting out of here."
I don't
Dude,
know.
seriously, like
Come on, let's lock the door. I'm just scared that maybe there's like, I don't know, maybe drug addicts that are trying to get in here and do their thing.
That's what I was worried about. Was that a person?
This door won't even close. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Let's go ahead and just lock ourselves in. I don't think that the door was locked. I think maybe it was open and somebody opened it from the outside.
Yeah, it could have been our wind or something.
Yeah.
Bro, is that the bedroom they're talking about?
This is the room that the workers supposedly saw. Oh gosh.
That was probably them leaving. That scared me too.
Right now they're in the beginning stages of rehabbing this home. There's so much trash. I'm going to show you in a little bit. Supposedly that's the 3rd dumpster. I mean, this place was full. And the person that lived here before, I guess they were a thief and they were stealing things. And I mean, that's just what I heard. We'll probably find some stuff here and there, but maybe, I don't know. It could be some, did you lock that door?
No.
There could be some people outside going through the dumpster. But the workers, I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were looking at that hole right there, and one of the workers freaked out when they seen a figure standing in the corner right there. When he got close to it, he thought there was another worker here. He got close to it and it completely vanished right in front of him. This is where he was found dead, and this floor does not feel safe at all. What? Huh?
Oh, that was the creepiest thing ever, bro. No, we're there, right?
Bro, look at this. Look at this. Are these bullet holes?
No way.
Careful, watch your step. This whole floor is like uneven. It looks like it. I mean, I don't know. They were talking about jacking it up, and that's one of the things. And this is wow. There's like wainscoting under there.
Is there really bullet holes?
It looked like it.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
What is that?
Oh, look, he's saying noise. No, because that's the same noise I saw from before. What the hell? Oh. Is that thing just moving from the wind?
It has to be. Yo, the door was not even locked, was it?
Bro, it's closed. Wait a minute.
I'm gonna bring this inside. Let's actually lock this door. See, yeah, it's just the wind. It's gotta be. All right. Well, that seals the deal.
Shut up. You locked it?
Huh?
You locked it?
I locked it, but the other door started closing again, and it completely closed again.
Now, anytime we get a chance to lock ourselves inside of a haunted house, we go for it. It's a lot safer, and let's face it, it's a lot more fun.
So this is where they found that gun.
Where?
It was inside the wall. And
Where they tore it up.
yo, look at this! Look on the ground. There's a round.
That's a bullet.
There's a round on the ground. Huh? What kind of bullet is this? That looks like a 22.
But what if they like
I
stacked
think.
money and stuff in here? Like, were they looking for?
I'm not sure if these are bullet holes, but we did see holes on the other side.
Oh, there was some on the other side.
Yeah. That has to be it.
I can't believe they threw away so much stuff, and there's already so much stuff still left here.
Yeah, there is.
What the hell was that?
Oh, there's another house next to us too, and
That's not like a. I mean, it makes me nervous in this neighborhood.
I'm glad you're not here alone.
Yeah, me too.
Like, look at this giant hole right here.
I probably would have walked right through it.
James is crazy. Now, if you didn't know this about James, he is almost completely blind. Always got to keep an eye on him because he can get into trouble rather quickly.
Remember one time I did a video where I went to this abandoned hospital. I wanted to go down to the actual morgue. And when I got down there, one thing I didn't know was there is an open hole, which was like a drainage hole. And think about this, was there a worse spot to fall into a drainage hole in the morgue of an abandoned hospital? My leg went right through it. There was a board on top, it cracked, went straight through. My camera hit the ground, busted. My light went down, and I was all alone.
Yo, there's like baseball cards in here.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Check this out.
How old are they?
They're pretty old.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell is that? Hello? Bro, did you hear that? Dude, it sounded like somebody was walking in here. You heard that too, right?
Yeah. Hello? Did that door get locked?
Yeah, you locked it. You locked both doors.
Shh. Shh. What was that?
I don't know. It sounded legit like somebody was like in this room or in here.
Go over there. Maybe it was that room.
Oh, what the fuck was that?
Bro, we're like surrounded by noises right
I
now.
heard something back there. We're not afraid of you.
We're not here to cause harm. If you want to communicate with us, we're here to listen. We're not here to hurt you.
I definitely feel a presence in this. Did you see something in there?
Dude, I saw something in the window right now. There's somebody out there.
Maybe this is the room. I'm telling you, this is the room. Dude, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm scared to walk right here though. I feel like it's a trap.
No kidding. Oh crap, bro.
Yo, there's still cups in the cupboards and everything.
Yeah, dude, I was just thinking that. This is all the plates.
Hey, look, dude, it's Aladdin's lamp.
Really?
Yeah, right behind you. Right there, grab it.
Where?
Right, straight ahead.
Okay.
Straight ahead. Up, right there.
I'm gonna rub the genie.
Wait, careful, you might summon something in this house. You heard that?
Yeah, I heard that. Bro, it's like every time we go out to one side, the other side starts making all this noise. The feeling that I would get inside that house was some kind of despair, some type of sorrow, kept us on edge, and that's what kept us wondering what was really happening inside of this place. Is there some spirits in there from the past? Like, creepy. What the hell? No. Hell no. Bro. No, bro. I don't like this. I don't like this.
What the hell was that? Hear me out on something, okay? This house has a lot of haunted history. A lot of people get freaked out coming here.
Like me.
There's been people that moved out of this house because of it being haunted. The last people that lived here, they didn't want to pay rent because I've never even heard of that, okay? However, I do like to look at things from a scientific perspective. And here's the thing. We have some settlement issues with the foundation.
Bro, that noise we just heard was not the settlement, bro. That
What if
sounded
this-
like something like projectile got thrown or something.
I don't know.
Bro, that was loud. I don't know, but that really creeped me out.
Yo, you know what I've been seeing though? Look, there's like dominoes. And I seen a card. Yeah, there's a card right there, like. Oh, check it out right here. Some cards here. That's pretty cool.
So they got cards, dominoes.
Oh, look, this is here. This is what I was talking about. There's clothes with tags still on them, almost like that's what the realtor was saying. Like the person had a thief problem. You know what I mean? Like they were like stealing things.
So freaking crazy though. So this was like a kid room or something in here, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking, bro? Could you imagine like your kids living in the front of the house like this, and like there's like drive-by shootings? And
Yo, imagine that, because they shot through. You know what? I'm really curious. I am really curious if maybe because the shots were fired from here. I mean, unless they came through the window. I want to say, all right. So there's the holes, the bullet holes right there. Maybe they came through the front door. I don't know. They could have came at an angle too. I don't know. I'm not a, what is it called? A CSI guy? Crime scene investigator. Hey, look, Mom. A spider. It's a big spider. There's a lot of stuff in here.
I haven't felt like this in a while in a place.
Oh, what is that up there? What if it's like a stash of money? Hold on.
Oh yeah, like there's a little special.
If they had a gun hiding in the wall, I mean, I don't know.
Right?
Damn, look at this. There's like spider webs everywhere. Oh! Oh!
What the frick was that? Bro, that wasn't you?
No!
I thought you fell.
Hello?
Oh, I'm telling you. No. Just your car. Bro, we locked the doors anyways. Like,
Why are you wearing a sweater?
I don't know. I'm keeping this freaking locked.
I mean, that dumpster is full. And there's still like stuff in here. This place was probably a really big mess. Oh, I wonder what's up there. It's really high up. And I'm almost 6 foot tall. I mean, it's gotta be like, maybe like a 12-foot ceiling or so. What's up there? Hello? Was that you, James? I was telling James, hey, maybe we should actually film and do a time lapse, because sometimes we'll spend 2 nights in a house. I don't think we're gonna have to spend a few nights in this house. I mean, the history is spot on, but we're just gonna kind of just sit around and record it if we catch anything in that time. I seen a face outside of the window. I don't know if it was somebody taking a peek and see what we were doing. I mean, it's possible. And then that door opened up while all of us were here.
That was really freaky.
And that must not happen very often, because it sent my friend Carlos and his buddy, the realtor,
Yeah,
like they just took
that's
off.
what makes me think it's like, okay, like originally I'm like, okay, there might be somebody coming in here, and I was worried. But when they left like that, they kind of made me think they already felt that vibe from what the workers said earlier.
Right.
About that guy being back there and that door opens back there. Like, dude, that is the craziest thing.
I don't know. Well, we got the doors locked. That door's closed. This door's closed. We should play patty cake.
Oh, remember Sister?
Oh, with the yeah. Look, there's coins
yeah,
right
really
here.
cool video. We've done a couple of those actually. Did we do a Stranger Things one?
We did. Hey, I found. Is this a money clip?
Really? Bro. You see that?
No.
The door's open. You don't see the door. Am I tripping?
There's somebody. No, careful. There could be somebody out there. Hold on. That's windy. Did your phone just go off?
My phone did go off, but my camera died.
Your camera died?
Yeah, my camera died.
I'll give you some of my footage. There it goes.
What in the world?
Turn off your lights. It sounded like a woman. Dude, you just did that?
No, I just turned my camera on. That wasn't you.
Alright, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, dude. It came from this dark room right here.
Dude, Omar, my camera died. My camera died, so I turned.
Come on, let's go, bro. Get your camera, get whatever you left, let's go.
Our people don't understand that sometimes we end up leaving a place after we see a lot of activity and they call us wusses for it, or they say that we're scaredy cats. It has nothing to do with that. I've been in some of the scariest places that no one would ever dare to go into. Now, the reason some of my friends and I will leave a place after seeing a lot of activity is out of respect for the spirits. Not only that, but sometimes these spirits will follow you home if you provoke them to the extreme. So it's not because we're scared. We're just doing it out of respect. Plus, I don't want something following me home.
There's a lot of times where we go places and we don't know exactly what we're going into seeing. Sometimes we do get frightened, guys, but more than anything, we like to, not have anything follow us home. We don't want anything attached to us. I mean, I know we do pray after a lot of the adventures that we go on. We also don't want to entice these things. We don't want to entice them to follow us home or challenge them. And that's something I don't encourage anybody to do, because that's some serious stuff that you don't want happening to you.
I'm really confused.
Yo, what the hell is going on in this house, bro? What the hell is going on in this house? Is this all wind? Is this wind?
I don't know anymore. I really don't. I don't even know what I caught. I don't even know what I saw. Like, seriously. I am down to I'm done.
You done?
Yeah, my light just turned off, like, immediately.
Alright, I think we just need to get out. Bro, look, that's moving, that's moving. That's moving.
What the hell? Dude, whatever spirit is in here, you need to go toward the light. If you see any kind of light.
That Bible's on the floor.
Bro, this is not.
That Bible, it was up here. I remember putting it on the paint bucket.
Wait, where is it?
That's right there on the floor. I never put... No, right here, right here. That Bible was on the paint bucket. It wasn't on the floor unless you moved it.
No, I didn't touch it. Bro, my camera... I don't even know what to say. Guys, you're going to have to go to watch Omar's video in this, because I don't...
I'll just give you some of my footage if you want.
Oh, God, that's crazy.
So I feel bad for James. His camera ended up dying.
Bro, I turned this camera on right when... I don't know what the hell was it. Something came flying out of here.
It was that. It was that angel. I thought you did that.
No, bro, I literally just turned the camera on. It came from that way. It didn't. I was standing back here. It was this. I don't understand how this thing went flying. That's what I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe it just kind of rolled out when the door closed. I have no idea. I'm confused. If you're interested in maybe purchasing this house, if I had the money, I would purchase it. I'm going to leave a link down below and a phone number to the realtor of this house. Maybe you want to purchase it without getting blessed. Maybe you want to purchase it the way it is. I mean, this place needs a lot of work. I hear they're going to completely remodel this house. I'm going to do a follow-up video to show you what it's going to be like. It's probably going to happen in the next couple of months or so. It's going to be really beautiful. I have a lot of faith in them. Be sure to check out my man James. He put together a video here. He did have his camera die, but...
Hey. Oh. I'm telling you, right?
Oh! Oh! Oh!